Today is November the 28th. Today, we'll read about the end of the kingdom of Judah. Reading through the Bible in a year, I'd like you to read 2 Kings chapters 24 and 25. This is the story of the very end of the nation of Judah. The history of chapters 24 and 25 takes place over about 13 years. It starts with the death of Josiah and moves into the reign of Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim only reigns for about 3 months, but during that period of time, rather than face Babylon directly in battle, he begins to pay tribute to Babylon. Now, the purpose of the tribute was to weaken the infrastructure of the nation. And indeed, it does that. The second thing that takes place during Jehoiakim's rule is that key leaders were deported to Babylon. These key leaders probably included people like Daniel and his 3 friends. This was the first deportation. Jerusalem is not yet destroyed. Jehoiakim dies and Jehoiachin takes over instead. Jehoiachin rebels against Babylon. He refuses to pay the tribute. And as a result, in 598 BC, Nebuchadnezzar comes, lays siege, and the city of Jerusalem falls. Now we have the second deportation. Jehoiachin is captured by King Nebuchadnezzar and taken to Judah, taken to Babylon, where he's put in prison. Nebuchadnezzar makes Zedekiah the king of Judah in his place. And things go okay for about 10 years, but here again, there is a conspiracy. About 5-6 years in, Zedekiah rebels against the king of Babylon. And chapter 25, so on January 15th, during the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon led his entire army against Jerusalem. They besiege the city. The city siege takes several years, and eventually Nebuchadnezzar breaks through the city walls. All of the city is decimated. The temple is plundered, and the temple is destroyed. A third deportation now takes place. When he leaves, Zedekiah is captured. King Nebuchadnezzar kills his sons in front of his own eyes. Then he gouges out Zedekiah's eyes. Zedekiah is taken to Babylon, where eventually he dies in prison. King Nebuchadnezzar makes Gedaliah ruler, but he doesn't call him king. He calls him a governor. Now, during this time, we have also the book of Jeremiah being written. Jeremiah, as a prophet, tells Israel to accept Babylon's rule. He is not necessarily pro-Babylon, but he is anti what the king is doing in standing up to Babylon. Jeremiah prophesies the destruction of Jerusalem, which indeed takes place. But there's a band of Israelites who encourage King Jehoiachin and Zedekiah after him to appeal to Egypt. They do that. It doesn't do any good. By the end of the book of Jeremiah, actually, one wave of Jews goes south and takes up residence in Alexandria. Another wave of Jews goes north, is carried into exile into Babylon. Jeremiah, who has spent his life preaching against trusting in Egypt, is kidnapped and taken into Egypt. The other book that I did want to mention, at the end of Kings, we have two books called Chronicles. Chronicles is just an attempt to fill in the gaps. There are frequent mentions of where the details from the book of Chronicles comes in. Frequently, Chronicles repeats what's in 1st and 2nd Kings, but more frequently, it adds additional information that we didn't have before. They're very, very interesting. I encourage you to read it. What you will find in Chronicles many times is actual dialogue that is simply described in the book of Kings. This ends the history of the nation of Israel before the exile. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll begin to look at what took place when Israel was in Babylon. Like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you use to listen to it. Email your questions to us at questions@becomehope.com. Tomorrow, we'll begin to look at the book of Esther.